A typical day off looks like I wake up, then I go back to sleep. I'm Brooke Shields, and today I am going to allow Elle to ask me anything. But before we get started, you make sure that you check out Holiday Harmony on HBO Max. It's a Christmas movie. Who doesn't love a Christmas movie? Oh, and I'm in it. My dream guest on my podcast, Now What, would be one of my daughters, actually. The one I believe would say yes to doing my podcast would be Rowan, because she's a journalism major and a communications major, and it's a field that she wants to go into. I think my younger daughter, Greer, if she knew that we had to videotape it, she probably would say no, because she wants to always look perfect, and she never thinks she does. Oh gosh, there are so many changes I want to see in the world, and just wanting peace and health and harmony seems so cliche, but there is such angst and anger all around us, and it's ripping everybody apart from the inside, and it's tragic, and we've lost our way. The best advice that I received from a co-star was George Burns 1,000 years ago. He said, "Kid, remember always to have fun, because once this doesn't become fun, don't do it anymore." My true passion project at the moment is a company that I started called Beginning Is Now, which is a platform for women over 40. It's a wellness platform. We're providing information, encouragement, tools. We will be getting into product, and it's to help women start new chapters in their lives. A lot of us are empty nesters, and we're not quite sure what our next move is, and we need to encourage these women and help them on their way. The modeling industry doesn't look anything like the way I remember it. Work ethic is gone out the window. Anybody can just become a model or an actress, and there's no sort of learning mode or time. The one thing I will say that's positively changed, because my daughter wants to be a model, but she's only 16, and they are now starting to say that 16-year-olds are too young to go into the industry. I was 11 months old when I started in the industry, so by the time I was 16, I was like an old hat at it. I think there's more positivity with body image and inclusivity. And I like that. I'm very happy about that. But it does move a lot faster than anything I really remember experiencing. And we really worked hard, and now everything has so many components and so many moving parts, and it's a lot. We never used to have to do B-roll or EPK or behind the scenes or any of that on modeling shoots, and it was really just the creative team, and it was such an intensive creative project. My dream role would be to be in a period piece. I'm one of those people that loves The Crown, loves Outlander. I'm sure it wasn't as much fun to live in that time, but to the outside and to the actress and me, they just seem very romantic. If I could go back to one time in my career, it would be early seasons of Suddenly Susan. I had my own spot on the lot, had my name on it. I drove to work every day. We made people laugh. The pace was so fast. You had to come up with stuff on the spot. And it was just very alive, and just comedy just makes me happy. Regarding mental health, I am so happy that it is becoming more on the forefront of the discussion, because for so long there was such stigma, and I think that's getting a bit better. What I would say to anybody struggling in any way is, do not isolate yourself. That is not being strong. Fear is okay. Get help. Make sure you are witnessed, and reach out for any kind of help, because there's nothing to be ashamed of. I was introduced to TikTok by my daughters, and I still have to get more fluent in it. I look back at the TikToks that I've done with my older daughter, Rowan, and I laugh so hard. I just love being a part of it. I love choreography. I love imitations. I love anything that sort of gets people out of their comfort zone, and I do not take myself too seriously, so my looking ridiculous is never a problem for me. A typical day off looks like I wake up, then I go back to sleep if I had a day off, and then I get up, do some form of an exercise, and then there's a good chance I will watch 9 episodes of something until the wee hours of the morning, just to completely shut down my brain from thinking about all the other stuff I have to think about. It was really difficult for me to accept the fact that my younger daughter did and does in fact want to model. I don't feel that I have a handle on the industry the way I did. I'm a different type of mother than my mother was, and my mother's whole life was around me and modeling and taking me everywhere and keeping me in school and keeping everybody away from me. And so I'm a bit scared of the access that everybody has to these girls. She thinks that I can just make it happen, and I've had to explain to her that that's really not how it works. Having been in the industry for so long, I might be able to get somebody to answer a phone, but all the real work and commitment has to come from her. And she's gonna be uncomfortable, she's gonna feel alone, she's gonna feel scared, and they're not interested in your feelings. So it terrifies me that she will be out in this world without me there 24/7, but she's pretty badass as a person, and she can be scary, so it's good. God, all those schmaltzy answers come into your brain when you think of questions like this. I really cannot live without my girls and my husband and the foundation that we've built, not living in Hollywood and having normalcy and always knowing that we have each other's back. When I decided, which was probably when I was 3, that I wanted to have a family, I knew that it would be the thing that grounded my life, so. And maybe if there's a little chocolate in there, if I can have a 4th, or maybe tequila, I don't know, it's a toss-up. Oh, what I would like to accomplish by the end of this year is really getting Beginning Is Now off the ground with a larger community and a website that really represents us, and just learning more and more which direction I really want the company to go, because the community keeps growing. Having a startup is one of the most terrifying things I've ever done, and I think by the beginning of the next year, many boxes will be checked. How do I deal with negativity? I have to digest it, I have to listen to it, I can't just la 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 la. I think it's important that I make a decision about it, see how it makes me feel physically, and then really decide to not get dragged down by it. And sometimes I have a moment of panic, sometimes I cry, sometimes I get really insulted, and then I stop and I analyze the whole thing and I ask myself, do I want that negativity to actually define me? And hell no is the answer. So I move past it, but I don't avoid it because it's out there. My top 3 favorite red carpet looks are when I presented at the Emmys and I wore this Badgley Mishka fuchsia gorgeous gown that was sleeveless and everything just fit. The makeup fit, the hair was great, the pictures were good. It was just one of those moments, and it was the first time I'd really gone out on a limb and didn't get a stylist to help pick anything out. And so I was doubly proud because I wasn't listening to anybody else. Next one was CFDA. I wore this great tuxedo, but I straightened my hair and put it to the side, and it was kind of androgynous and very sexy, but completely covered. I loved that one. And the third would be when I got nominated for a Golden Globe, and I wore a Richard Tyler red satin, long, beautiful, sort of Jessica Rabbit-like dress, and I did a Veronica Lake hair and a red lip, and I got blasted for it by my agency because they said that nobody should look like that on the red carpet because you won't be taken seriously as an actress, blah, blah, blah. Next year, everybody wore red. And just 2 years ago, my daughter took that dress out of my closet and wore it to her graduation and her prom. So it was very exciting to see it again. With with regards to eyebrows, Ford modeling agency, I leaned forward, wanted to bleach my eyebrows. Everybody wanted to pluck them and do all this, and my mom said, I'll break your fingers if you touch your eyebrows. So I grew up with sort of this fierce protection of my eyebrows in a natural state. I thought it was bizarre that the people focused on them. At times I felt like I gave Frida Kahlo a little bit of a run for her money, but I never wanted to overly shape them. And so now seeing it come back is nothing to do with me. It's just trends that come and go, but it does make me feel good that I sort of never succumbed to changing what I was born with, you know? Wow, that's a tough one for some reason, because I'm such a rule follower and I take things to heart. I do think I'm in an industry that really is based on rejection. And when people say, you know, don't let it bother you, it's not personal, it always feels personal. So I have to then go through that process, that negativity process again, but it's not water off my back and I can't seem to switch that switch. I think growing up in the spotlight, I've been there for so many decades, you think you would get used to it. But the hardest part was people just wanted to tear me apart all the time in the press and blame everything on my mother. And it was one of these constant chipping away and always being on the defensive and always thinking, here it comes, here it comes, here comes the question, and the disrespect that the news industry showed me in such sort of blatant disregard for anything that I was trying to express. And it just never ceased to amaze me. But as I got older, it helped me in writing a book. I wrote a book that was all about that and all about my mom, and it gave me resilience. I always love it when people say they're hidden talents. It's like, well, I play the piano or I do something, and you're like, oh my God, then you're amazing. I can't draw, I can't play the piano, I can't do any of that. I can craft really well. I do needlepoint really well, I do puzzles really well. Anything completely single-focused, I can get lost in that. That's why I like baking, but I don't cook. Ooh, would I make a reboot? If I could reboot Lipstick Jungle and have those three women be now, we had such a great chemistry and people loved our show so much, and I would love to do that. I don't think Suddenly Susan would really ever work, but I hope sitcoms come back, that's for sure. Well, thank you for hanging out with me and Elle today, and don't forget Holiday Harmony. It's out now, it's on HBO Max, it's a Christmas movie. There are alpacas in it. Who doesn't love a Christmas movie?